Hello, everybody. Josh Brown here, back for another great episode on Franchise Euphoria. Well, today's episode is brought to you by IndieFranchiseLaw.com, a leading resource in the franchise space to help you if you're considering buying a franchise, turning your business into a franchise, or growing your business through a licensing or franchise structure. So go on, check it out, IndieFranchiseLaw.com. I think you'll find a lot of valuable and free information as you continue to kind of weigh franchising and licensing and the growth of your business. Without further ado, I hope you enjoy today's episode. On today's episode of Franchise Euphoria, I'm thrilled to have on Cioffi and Jerry Eicke. They are part of the Salad House franchise based out of New Jersey. Joey is a veteran restaurateur with over 10 years of experience in the industry. He's the founder and CEO of the Salad House, a rapidly expanding salad franchise concept based in New Jersey that is currently seeking new partners throughout New Jersey, Connecticut, New York, and Pennsylvania. Jerry, his partner, who's also a franchisee, is the director of franchise development and co-owner of the Salad House. Jerry has over 10 years of experience in franchising and owns the Salad House's Westfield location in Jersey, in addition to several other franchise ventures. He's an experienced entrepreneur with nearly 20 years of experience in the finance and business development fields. And, his knowledge on the finance side, you'll hear through this interview, as well as Joey's knowledge on the food side, has been really instrumental in them building their first several locations and now looking to expand. I really enjoyed this interview. First of all, I really had a good time talking with these guys. And it's clear to me that they've got a real focus on the food, obviously, but also on the business and how they're going to grow and how they're going to grow their brand. And to me, it's a really important lesson in how you do franchising, that you really have to have that good combination in order to succeed, because it's one thing to have great food and great service, but you've got to have a business-minded approach as well. And they should go hand in hand to help you expand. So really, I had a fun time with this interview, and I'm confident you'll enjoy it with Joey and Jerry. Hello, Jerry, Joey, how you doing?
Doing good, Josh.
Josh, how are you? Great.
Well, we're kind of chuckling here because it's been one of those days with technology where it just kind of gets the best of you. So it's taken a little bit to get this thing kicked off, but I'm thrilled to have you guys on. You're from the Salad House franchise.
That's right.
I love that. You've obviously, you've listened to some episodes of this podcast, as we talked about. And so, I always like to find out the story behind the franchise, how you guys got going with it. And usually that starts with the individuals themselves. So Joey, since we've got both of you on, Joey, why don't you talk about your role first, and then we'll turn to Jerry.
Okay, so pretty much the story, I don't know how far back you want me to go, but I'll give you the Cliff Notes version of how the genesis of this, became. So I grew up in the food business. My parents came over from Italy back in the late 50s, and they, aspired to achieve the American dream. They use food as the vessel. My father learned how to make pizza, started his first pizzeria in Newark. Fast forward a few restaurants later to Cioffi's in Springfield, where I kind of grew up working in. I mean, I started working. The child labor laws really didn't apply when you're in the food business.
Yeah.
So
Well, and your family.
Yeah, my family. So I was kind of working inside that business my entire life. It taught me a lot about just dealing with people and just really in life I really, at the time, I was miserable as a young kid while the kids were out doing normal. Like, I was actually learning the business without even realizing how much I was learning, which was pretty awesome. Just to in hindsight, now that I look back, and I definitely want to use the same kind of roadmap for my kids as they get older. I want them to learn. I want them to work. I want them to get some experience, because there's so much more when you get from hands-on. So with that, I ended up, after I graduated college, I worked in finance. Didn't really work out for me. I didn't really enjoy it. 9/11 happened, and I kind of made a career pivot back into my family business. And I kind of helped get the family business modernized, with POS systems. And, my brother Jerry and I, we ended up
Different Jerry.
A different Jerry. I got two Jerrys in my life, two important Jerrys. So we ended up, I modernized the business, took the catering business to another level. And in the meantime, I always, had aspirations of growing, but it was hard to grow with, my store because it was kind of a mom and pop type store. So my wife was always complaining about not having chopped salads in the area. We live in the suburbs of New Jersey, like about 35 minutes outside of Manhattan. And she's like, on every street corner in New York City, there's a chopped salad place, there's healthy options. And around by us, there's not really, you have to go to a pizzeria or go somewhere like, to get a salad and ask it for it to get chopped. And the options were limited. So I was at a traffic light one day. I saw a vacant space in downtown Millburn. It's Millburn Short Hills, a pretty affluent area here in New Jersey. That night, I went home and I kind of drew up a business plan. I said, you know what, this could work. I think a salad concept, healthier eating, in the suburbs. I think there's a need for it, and I think that we could fill that need. But I also wanted to make it a little bit of a balance where like everybody, because I realized at a young age, having customers be able to come there multiple times a week. So I didn't want to just relegate it just to one specific, healthy mindset. Like I wanted to kind of have a menu that was a little bit more broad spectrum. So the Salad House began in 2011. We had early success, opened up a second location. In the meantime, Jerry, my partner, who's on the podcast with us, he was a customer at my Italian deli, but Jerry could kind of jump in now as to how he came involved with the Salad House.
Yeah, Josh, my background is in finance. I was a partner in a hedge fund for 17 years, but I was always good at eating. And I figured, wow, this should be pretty easy. So I spent a lot of time with Joey eating, at the Italian deli, but then, really fell in love with, what he had going on in his Millburn location at the Salad House. And really, it kicked up a notch for me when I had a paddle boarding accident and I blew out my shoulder, tore my rotator cuff, my labrum, dislocated the shoulder. And now I really had to take healthy eating to another level. Then I focused more on frequenting the Salad House, where Joey had his place in Millburn. I'm like, man, this would be a great concept. We should take this out to more people. I mean, more people need to know what can be done with these customizing. It was a big, and it still is a big custom salad joint. And, I just thought it could be something that could be replicated if we did it the right way. And it was still in its infancy, so it needed some work. But I kept pushing them. And then I said, hey, listen, man, if you partner up with me, I'll buy into the partnership, but I'll also, buy the first franchise. And, so I put a franchise in town over from me in Westfield, New Jersey. And my brother, who's got a little bit of a food background, put him in as the owner operator, as my partner. And that's really where, this whole partnership kind of kicked off, and where the Salad House really, in my opinion, Joey, started something really good. And in order to franchise it, we really needed to make it that much better, and that's really, what we've been doing over the last, 3 years, is getting it to the point where we feel comfortable offering it out to people outside of friends and family and people, to the masses, and say, hey, we really believe that this is a good concept. We've vetted all the kinks. We've made some mistakes, but along the way we've learned, and we feel really good about the concept we have and the operations and the cost of goods and the labor costs. But it's taken a while to get there.
Well, first of all, your pictures on Instagram are fantastic.
Oh, I appreciate that.
I mean, I'm looking at the ABLT looks absolutely
Yeah, that's a good one.
delicious. Oh my God. And it's really colorful. And you guys have some good menu options. It's also, as you guys were talking, it kind of struck me. So Jerry, you're part franchisor, and obviously you're a franchisee. So you've invested,
Yep.
but this is the first time on Franchise Euphoria I've had the franchisor and the franchisee on together.
Yeah, you know what? I am both, so we could get rid of Joey and you still have it.
I know, that's what I said, Joey. We don't need you anymore, buddy.
I know. See you later.
It's an interesting thing because I look at it, I really have two people to answer to, right? So my brother isn't concerned about the franchisor stuff. He's concerned about the franchisee stuff. Exactly. And, so it keeps me in check, and it forces us to have conversations that I don't think, it puts us in a new perspective that I don't think a lot of like to your point, a lot of people don't have like so we look at things on a daily basis, not only from the franchisor side, but from the franchisee side, because largely because I'm both.
Well, and Joey, so you have this Italian deli, and so that's where Jerry is
Yeah.
that deli still around?
Yeah, it's still around. Yes, it's been around since
Oh,
1981.
so it's a family affair.
Yes.
Okay, so they're doing so that's great. I mean, because obviously, the thing about franchising and especially the thing about restaurants is you just have got to know what in the restaurant space is so complicated, so complex. Obviously, COVID has added a whole nother element to that. But I'm amazed at the number of people, especially on the franchisee side, usually. But they want to get in, they want to become a franchisee of a restaurant. And my first question is, well, why? And it's like, oh, I've always just wanted to own my own restaurant. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, there's so much more to it than that. You got to understand what you're getting into. You got to understand how to do operations. You got to understand food costs. You've got to understand all the financial part, which obviously is what Jerry is focused on. I mean, talk about what that was like for you, Joey, going from, you grew up obviously in this family restaurant with your deli place, and everything. And now you've got this more niched franchise concept.
I'll tell you what, I really love that question because, that question is so powerful in so many ways because it's so true. I mean, when being a part of like a mom and pop type organization where, when I first started, it was pad and paper. And I don't know if you remember credit card processing, where it was like that, the carbon paper, loud noise little
Sure.
machine. You know, and my father, he's, he didn't even graduate high school. Like he's just, like growing up in a business where, it kind of, what I got from my business was people skills, quality of food. I always tell a story about my father one time when I first got back into the business. Now, I was trying to figure out some costs and say, oh, you know what, we should probably get something cheaper or stuff like that. So this guy came by one time. It was like he was out of a truck. He's like, oh, I could get you chicken for 99 cents a pound, da da da, all this stuff. So I was excited. I'm like, oh my God, I'm make my father, wow, I'm gonna get this guy. So I go in the office. I'm like, Dad, I got this guy. He's going to be selling me the chicken. And in his Italian accent, I don't want to curse on the podcast, but it was colorful language. But he's just like, where do you get the food from? Where's the chicken to come from? That's we give the best of quality. We got to make sure we do everything right over here. I don't know this guy. I don't know where he comes. And so it was like kind of one of those things where he never wanted to cut corners because he knew quality was so important in retaining guests and retaining customers and bringing them back. So, a lot of what I have and what I kind of started this whole thing was kind of in that regard, food quality, taking care of your customers, making sure that everything is clean, making sure you have establishing a trust with, because it's very intimate. Food is very intimate when it comes to, that they're trusting you. They're trusting you behind, from a phone call to prepare food and making sure that things are done properly, giving them good quality, not, and God forbid, them getting sick or something. So, and then Jerry came in and Jerry will say, like, listen, it was amazing. And it was like, a yin to a yang, like where he was just like, whoa, hold on. What about this salad here? I don't think you're making money on this salad. It started. And then when you started realizing that and how amazing, Jerry and our team that we assembled, like, we have Tim and these guys were breaking things down that, yes, it was eye opening for me, but at the same time, it was wonderful because it really put it all together. And to that, I'm like grateful, and it is cool because I backed into this like in that regard.
Well, no, I mean, I think that's great. And I mean, the thing about restaurants and is to the outside world, it's sort of this, sexy business because so many people associate restaurants with good memories and community and entertainment, all that kind of stuff. And yet when you dive into it, that has to be an element of your brand, but you got to make money and you got to meet the demands, of your customer. I'll never forget there's this, I'm not gonna name the brand, but and I actually like them. I like the restaurant, and there's several locations, but for some reason, the owner doesn't like any kind of citrus, like limes or lemons or anything like that, and it's a type of place that, has a bar area, but also has, sandwiches, burgers, all that kind of stuff, and I remember the first time I went in, And I said, "Can I get a Diet Coke with lime?" And the bartender was like, "Oh, we don't have limes." I'm like, "You don't have limes? Like, what do you mean? Like, there's a grocery store across the street. Like, what, can we go get some limes?" "Oh, no, the owner doesn't have any citrus in the restaurant, no limes or lemons." I'm like, "Really? That's interesting. Why?" And she was like, "Oh, he just doesn't like them." And I'm like, "Well, there's a whole lot of guests who are coming in here who do like it." So we
Wow.
have to match up sort of the wants and the needs.
Wow. That sounds like a deep mental something. There's
The
got to be a
story,
story
yeah.
behind that, because that's so bizarre
Well,
that
it's
that is.
bizarre enough that it's actually, I think, worked for the owner because it's a conversation piece a little bit, and it's like this quirky sort of thing about it, but the point is that you've gotta marry with a successful restaurant. You really have to combine excellent service with a business mindset, because, at the end of the day, if I said to you guys, if I said, "What's the best hamburger you've ever had?" My guess is you're not gonna put McDonald's in the top 5, but yet McDonald's is arguably one of the most profitable hamburger joints ever, right? And so you really gotta marry sort of that idea of, in franchising at least, you've gotta marry that idea of brand quality experience with business model. That's why I love having you both on, today to talk about that. I mean, talk about that, Jerry, from your perspective and you coming in really from a financial perspective and having to say, "Hey, look, Joey, I know this is how you do it, and I know, this is what you want, but we've sold 3 of these sandwiches in the last 2 weeks and our salads, we've sold 3 of these salads in the last 2 weeks. We gotta really look at either changing it up or getting it off the menu."
Yeah, I mean, listen, it wasn't an easy process because listen. First of all, I give a ton of credit to anybody in the restaurant industry that's successful because like you said, it takes a tremendous amount of work. And as a guy who was a finance guy and just went out to lunch and went out to dinner a lot, I did not give the industry the credit that it deserves, and it clearly deserves it. And I was put in it, so now I give the props to all the restaurateurs that are out there. And now when we throw COVID into it, that's a whole nother level, but a different discussion. But for me, it certainly wasn't mutually exclusive. Like, there's no reason why you can't have good quality food and good quality service, but also have it be a profitable dish. Um,
Absolutely.
so for us, that was So I knew coming into it. Joey and I were friends coming into it, and I knew I was essentially buying in early. And I knew that there were some kinks and there was some work that had to be done, 3 years ago. And that's why it's taken us so long to really just get out there, because it's literally taken that amount of time for us to work out those kinks. And it's not to say that you couldn't have been successful just franchising, as soon as I got in there and just started, throwing money at it and placing ads and kind of learning on the go. Because I'm sure there's a lot of franchises that kind of experiment and tweak, as they bring people in. But for me, that's not the way that I wanted to go about it. I mean, I really wanted to look at it from an analytics side and just say, okay, man, I love the food. I would have never come in here and bought into this franchise or bought a franchise if I didn't love the food and love the concept. Day one for us was, all right, man, let's cost out the entire menu. So give me cost of goods on everything. And we didn't have them. And, I don't blame Joey. I mean, Joey, was running a good operation, and he ran such a good operation that attracted myself and a bunch of other people that love, are still in love with the Salad House. And we have just a really nice rabid following. But we need to really make it so that not only can we stand behind the financials, but, when it comes time to pass it on to someone else and somebody else wants to come in and make an investment, and you could be taking their life savings. I mean, we got to be right. So for me, that was important. There's a difference between old school, I have front pocket money, and are we profitable? And I wanted to make sure that we got it to a point where I feel 100% confident that we can make money, and I feel that way.
So how did you guys come? I mean, I love this conversation because I think people who are turning their restaurants into franchises, contemplating this, are having these thoughts and conversations right now. But I mean, there is the balance. I mean, to counter what I was saying a minute ago, or at least to add to it, is that, you might come in, Jerry, and say, "Hey, look, we could go through this different source and get chicken and save X amount of dollars per pound." And Joey's going to come in and maybe say, "Yeah, but Are we sacrificing the quality? We're not going to sacrifice the quality. And so, how are you getting to that happy medium of really running the restaurant, focusing on having the highest quality that you can have while also making sure that you're turning a profit?
Because we have a real team approach. So there's not the friend. It's not Joey and I as the dictators of how things go, or me if it's not financially profitable. I mean, clearly we go off analytics. We made it a point to switch POS companies when I came in, and one that could provide more data and more analytics. When we go out and search for locations, we rely heavily on not just normal traffic studies, but some more deeper dive analytics. So yeah, we are going to look at the analytics of things. But Joey mentioned it before. We have a real team now. It's a nice little team. With I'll just give him a shout out. Tim and Jared and Megan and my brother Chaz, jumps into to the meetings, and then all the franchise owners. We pull them in, and it's really a group approach. I mean, we really say we can't be married to any one product. Like we can. Joey. Listen, from Joey's background, he knows I'm going to hit him about this. He was in love with the pizzas on the menu. We're a salad place. We had like 17 pizzas on the menu. I'm like, dude, you can't fall in love with the pizza. Let's take the food that we sell and then we'll keep them on there. But but it's a team approach. I mean, Joey can elaborate a little more on it, but I think that's the strength is our team.
Absolutely, man. I got to tell you, and the more I've read in my life and gotten older, and when you think you get older, you get wiser. But like knowing that, the spokes in the wheel, I feel as though I'm so confident when we go into our, we have our meetings, and we really have such a great balance in that office. We have a great balance around that table. And like Jerry said, we're not dictating. We really throw around. I mean, to be honest, sometimes things they get kicked around so much that Jerry's just like, all right, we got to punt this idea. Like, all right, let's move on, because like we really do take everybody's input. And the best part about our team is that like it's not the same type of person in the room. So it really does give you different opinions, even from a financial standpoint, what somebody could afford, and to like a palate, I mean, whether, it's one of our, team members is a little more vegan, and, so it really, the balance has been incredible. And I just feel as though we've gotten so strong because of it, and because of that team approach, and we're big sports guys too. Like Jerry and I are big sports fans. I play college football, having that team mentality is so important, I think, for our brand and what it's done for our brand.
Where'd you play at?
I played at Monmouth University. It's a 1AA school here on the East Coast.
Well, the thing is you guys have 4 locations in Jersey, and you're looking to expand throughout New Jersey, Connecticut, New York, and Pennsylvania. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, we're East Coast. We're at stay in New York, New Jersey, tri-state area. I mean, there's enough out there. I mean, we're going to be opening our next 2 locations. Still in Jersey, but Montclair, New Jersey, and Livingston, New Jersey. So we're excited for that, and it's guys that are already franchisees are opening the next couple too, which is really nice.
Well, I love that you guys are staying close by. I mean, I'm always preaching to people, oftentimes, and I'm not saying there's one way to do this and one right answer, but I'm a big proponent of dominate your area around you, right? Find out how many locations you can add within, 100, 200 miles of where you are headquartered, and then expand out from there, because as issues arise, as things come up, number one, you can get there quicker. Number two, you have a good sense of the market anyways. And so I applaud you guys. I think that's a good strategy to do that. What are you looking for in a franchisee? I mean, are you looking for somebody to come in? It sounds like you're looking potentially for multi-unit operators, but are you looking for multi-unit opportunities right off the bat, or what kind of opportunities are you looking, or franchisees are you looking for to come into the brand?
Yeah, I mean, I would say multi-unit would be great. I mean, but if we find the right person, I mean, it's so much of it now. I always joke with these guys because I'm 53 years old, so I'm the old guy in the room where like I just want good people around me, so I'm always about, hey, let's take a look at the person, like if they're good people and they love food and they like the healthy lifestyle. We talked about one of the campaigns we ran was fueling all diets and lifestyles. Like if you're looking to just kind of you're a hard charger, you love the food space, you want to angle towards healthy, and you're just a good person. Like that although we're looking for multis, we would entertain having somebody come on board like that. And because it's just so much about the person, and that's really why our team, I think, is doing so well, and we get along so well, and we're able to have the successes we're having right now, and be in a position that we're going to be opening more stores. And I feel really good where we are from a launching pad. Once we get these next two up, I think there'll be a few more right behind it. And like I said, from the onset, like I feel really good about where we are as a franchise, as a brand right now.
So as we finish up this interview, tell me, I mean, you mentioned it a little bit earlier, but COVID, obviously that's still impacting everybody. You guys being in Jersey, um, we're really kind of in the epicenter of all that at the start, but it's gotten under control, but at the same time, I think there's still a lot of restrictions in place. I mean, how have you guys dealt with this? I mean, it looks like you've obviously got catering. Um, it's quick service and that people can come in and get it and get out, and one thing I will say is I've noticed with people I work with is a lot of the quick service restaurants, um, are still doing pretty well in the midst of all this, but I'm curious how you guys have dealt with this, and maybe more importantly, how has this impacted how you think about franchising going forward and how you're gonna expand?
I mean, I got to be honest with you. I'm so proud of our brand. I'm proud of our team because we took this on. We took this head on, and Jerry and I were talking. I mean, Jerry. I mean, how many times we're talking a day? Like two, three, four times a day on the onset of this to figure out how to game plan, how to make this safe for our employees, our customers, how to make this. We were actually. I'd like to think that we were ahead of the curve, and we were already thinking two steps ahead of what safety measures. We were constantly monitoring the CDC. We were constantly monitoring what guidelines, what was happening, and at the same time we were also really plugged into helping others, like the front line, which was very gratifying because we're a brand that we didn't really touch upon this, but we're a brand that likes to give back. We do a lot for our communities. We do a lot for people like that. That's kind of a part of Jerry and I's fabric. So it's kind of that's another wonderful component to the Salad House because we really do care. And I think we stepped up our game where we helped others, and we're able to just kind of we were already prepared for the takeout and delivery business, and we were organized in a sense with our third party delivery partners, and we were ready for this, and then we took it on. And Jerry could add on to this on how well we did, but I think it was because we were prepared, because we took it head on, because of the communication that Jerry and I had almost every single day, and how our team was not afraid of this, and we took this and we went full steam ahead towards it.
Yeah, Josh, it was certainly a scary time for us. And you say, how do you feel about franchising? I mean, I'd like to think that our franchisees, even though there's only a handful of them, felt really good that they had another layer of help, as opposed to just being out there and stranded on your own. That you had some people that can, walk you through the PPP and how does that work, and not to mention all the other things that Joey mentioned in terms of the safety measures and everything, and just the uncertainty because we are one of the quick service restaurants that has actually thrived through COVID. But it is because our mantra is really just getting better every day. So when we really needed to deliver in this COVID environment, like Joey said, we were already there. So like a lot of people are like, oh, we pivoted. We didn't pivot. It was just a different focus. So instead of people dining in our restaurants, we were getting slammed with orders that were, just deliveries and to go. But we had all the platforms there, and any extra time that we had, and Joey mentioned it, we wanted to step up and deliver for the people that were on the front lines and the first responders in the hospitals. And, we really tried to step it up that way as well. So I feel really good about where we've taken the brand in such a difficult environment, but it really comes down to we were prepared going into it. So, we were able to survive and really thrive throughout it because of our preparation.
And it's funny, just one last thing before, like just a candid conversation I had with one of my managers at my Marstown location, this guy, Matt, and he looked at me, we were talking, and like, he goes, man, we withstood and we thrived, like Jerry said, in arguably one of the most horrible things that's ever happened in the United States. And this business, our business, was able to, withstand it and thrive during this thing. And he was just like, man, he goes, I'm so proud to be a part of this. And I was just like, I love hearing that from him because that it's kind of telling, that somebody's able to pick up on that. Somebody that's just a manager of the store.
Oh, sure. Now tell me this, what's the I mean, obviously being in Jersey, my guess is the square footage is a little bit smaller. I mean, what's the square footage of these stores typically?
Yeah, I mean, we have a store that our Milburn store is just under 1,000 square foot, right, Joe?
Yeah, it's about 900 square feet.
And then on the bigger side, we have our Morristown store is close to 2,000, right? 2,000 square feet.
Yes, it's 2,000. Yep.
So I think I would say we're between 1,000 and 2,000, but we're looking more at, now what does COVID force you to do, right? How much outdoor dining, could be possible if there's a need. Yeah, that was always important to us, but now it's that much more important to us, about outdoor dining. The delivery radius.
Well, the delivery and catering, but drive-through, if you had that option in certain
Yeah,
locations,
that's
which
what I
would
mean.
really
Listen, I mean, it's a crowded, the drive-throughs. I mean, you have all the big boys fighting for those drive-through spots, so it's tough to get. But we've been able to do really nice, in some of the downtown locations that we're in, and just really being on point. We're going through a process now where having our own app developed, so I think that'll even take us to the next level. But again, we're just trying to continually get better. We put all these tasks on a board every week, and we are just checking things off and just getting better because you never know when the next thing is going to come down the pike, and we need to be ready for it. And because, like I said, we have people that have trusted their savings with us.
Alright, so final question, I'm gonna say this is the most important question. Post-COVID, when I head out to Jersey or one location, I swing into the salad house. What should I be ordering off? I mean, what's your favorite thing right now to be ordering off that menu? What kinda salad should I be getting?
Well,
This is
we
I
have
mean,
a, we have
are you guys
a
unless you guys are sick of all the salads at this point because 'cause you've had so many of them, but
no, no. Jerry, what's your favorite, Jerry?
Listen, I'm a huge fan of the create your own. So I mean, with so many different ingredients that we have, I like to do create your own. I mean, I'm at one of the stores today, and I created my own. Always a staple for me is fresh avocado or hummus. I've been, not to be too trendy, but
I love that.
I've been on the kick of, I don't eat a lot of meat like I used to, so I'm taking those, vegan or vegetarian days. I, put myself through my own challenge where I did 30 days vegan just to see how it was. There's such a growing community and a vocal community, and I wanted to understand that community, and now I felt that was the best way of doing it. So I like the hummus. I like the guacamole, throwing fresh guac on there. I like the avocado. So I'm a create your own guy. But damn, I mean, what most people don't know, Josh, is we make a darn good sandwich.
Yeah,
So
I was about to say that.
You could get your sandwich too, so you did the half salad, half sandwich.
We got French fries too.
we've gone back and forth on that, but as the guy who's the finance guy, I'm still trying to figure out the economics on that one.
But
So
listen,
Joey,
Josh.
what's your favorite? What's your
Okay.
favorite?
All right. Now, this is gonna make you laugh, but I'm not a salad eater too much.
I love it.
I'm being honest, and that's why our menu is so well balanced. Because you know what, you can feed your entire family, you can feed your entire office family. You get a guy, like my wife loves eating her salads. My daughters actually transitioned from the chicken fingers. Are 12 and 10 years old, and they eat salads now. My son's still with the chicken fingers; he's 9. But we have a sandwich. By the time this is over, we have the sandwich that we're about to drop. That is so damn good. We don't even have a name for it yet. We've been kicking around some funny names,
Well,
but it is
so far, I think the winner is the one that is maybe the hot mess.
the hot mess is good. Yeah, the hot mess. But this sandwich, okay, is on this Baltazar Bakery is a bakery that we use now on a focaccia bread. It is it's chicken cutlet with bacon, cheddar, ranch, and barbecue sauce with frizzled onions, and it is outrageous. it's,
Well, see,
it's
you know what I like about that, Joey,
what's
is
that?
that they gotta come and get that sandwich, and then they're gonna feel so guilty for the next 4
Yes.
days, they're gonna come get your salads
Oh, don't tell my
after that.
secret. Come on, okay. Absolutely.
That's great. I love that. I love that because, to me, it highlights a couple things. First of all, you guys are truly operating this as a business, right? I mean, you love food. Obviously, Joey, you have a background from the food perspective, but it's very evident from this interview that you guys are truly looking at it from a perspective of being a great restaurant in your niche, but also running it from a business mindset. And that's very, very important as you expand through franchising. And anybody who wants to learn more about you guys can find you at thesaladhouse.com. Also, they can find you on Instagram. I recommend going there. You guys got some beautiful pictures of the food, and on Twitter as well. And any other places you want people to go to find out about you?
I mean, Instagram, Facebook. I mean, like you said, I mean, this day and age, you have to make everything pretty too. So it looks pretty and it tastes good. And like the other thing I wanted to mention, you've done just a great job with these interviews, Josh, and I've really enjoyed. I've subscribed and I enjoy the interviews. And I listened to the one just listened to the one the other day that you did with the new CEO of SaladWorks, who's really done a fantastic job. But maybe he's listening. We're coming for you.
Oh, we got a little friendly competition here
That's
on
it.
Franchise
That's it. Listen,
Euphoria.
we're competitors, man.
I love it. Well, hey, guys, seriously, thank you so much for coming on. We'll stay in touch for sure.
I
And
appreciate the invite.
I wish you the best of luck in all your expansion.
It was a pleasure, Josh. It really was a pleasure.
Take care.
See you. Bye bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Franchise Euphoria. If you enjoyed this episode or have enjoyed the podcast in general, I would really appreciate it if you could go to iTunes and leave me a rating and review. It really helps to get this podcast out to more and more people. So the easy way to do it is go to iTunes and in the search box, put in Franchise Euphoria. You will then see my cover art and you click on my smiling face that says Franchise Euphoria, and then click on the link that says ratings and reviews. It's that simple, but boy, oh boy, does it mean the world to me when people leave ratings and reviews. And like I said, it really helps get the show out there. Once again, would love it if you would go to iTunes and leave a rating and review if you enjoyed this episode or other episodes of the show. And until the next time, happy franchising.